the jacket you just got. It's I guess what's it mean to get like you said like 4,000 something straight days of proving you're a clean athlete?
It means a lot. It means a lot. I take pride in being a professional, through and through, and showing up and doing the things that are required of me as a professional athlete at this caliber. And it feels good to get some recognition knowing that, every day I show up and I'm a clean athlete and I just follow the rules. That's it. I'm not trying to cheat and get one over on nobody. So
And
that's good.
he mentioned up there, I think 2006, 2017, you joined the promotion.
Yeah.
I remember when that happened, and now it's a decade later. So, do you feel like a veteran at this point in the UFC, or do you still feel like kind of the young guy that's trying to prove himself?
100%. I feel a little bit of both. A little bit of both. Certain things in some aspects you feel like, you got it figured out and you kind of just, I don't want to say go through the motions of fight week, but you just know what to expect and you know how to get things done and do what you need. More efficiency, as a veteran. But at the same time, as far as fighting, we're still moving and grooving and moving through the ranks and, doing what we need to do to evolve and beat the guys that we need to beat.
Yeah, and I asked Dom this is because you guys have been fighting. You've essentially fought every style of fighter in there in the UFC. So, like, at what point do you stop preparing for specific opponents and just kind of focus on yourself, considering you've seen so many different styles in there?
Well, you never really stop preparing for specific people. You always do. But the main evolution happens in between the fights, right? What are you doing in between? Are you just chilling after, or you going and you're putting in the work and you consistently staying around the gym and staying around the guys who are preparing for their bouts and helping them out and evolving with them. That's the time you evolve, not when you're preparing for a specific style. So you still do both.
And looking at Saturday, Kevin's obviously been just around as long the UFC just as long as you, and I know he's at middleweight for a while, but since he dropped to welterweight, I feel like you guys have kind of been circling each other a
Yeah.
bit in the standings of the welterweight. So I guess have you felt the same way? And I guess what are you expecting from Kevin?
Um, Same old Kevin. That's what I'm really expecting. Everyone's been mentioning us fighting for years. You know what I mean? That's just been something that's been floating around. I know he was in here earlier. I know he was saying that I called him out, but I called him out back in 23, officially. But, me and him even had a conversation about it. But, he said, no, it's not something he was interested in. He wanted to fight the older guys, which is cool. He's very transparent like that. You know what I mean? So I was good with that. We were cool. So I haven't called him out since. But now I guess he feels some type of way about that. He needs something to get him up. You know what I mean? So I'm good with that.
He also had mentioned in an earlier interview earlier this week that he needs to fight, quote, pissed off compared to his last few fights. So does that narrative kind of go of what you just said? Like he needs something to keep him like motivated to fight you?
I guess he needs some kind of motivation. I never needed motivation. I don't care who it is. We're cordial. You're not my friend. You know what I mean? Like I don't give a fuck. So we can fight today, we fight tomorrow, whenever we're gonna fight. I can smile and break your face with a smile on my face. You know what I mean? So for me, it's never really a bad thing. Like, oh, I got some kind of beef with dude. I don't got no beef with him. But I don't really care. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not here for friends. This is gladiator school. We don't come here for friends. He's mad I'm not trying to be his friend. I don't give a fuck. I'm not your friend.
And last one for me, Kevin, like he again earlier this week he did one where like you could argue he's on a 4-fight win streak, just kind of based off of the fight against Dom. Dom, he thought could have gone either way, and then the fight against Mike had like that weird low blow that kind of took him out of the fight.
Mhm.
Can you take anything out of those fights from breaking down Kevin, considering like he thinks that, like I said, this could be a 4-fight win streak coming into this instead of a 2-fight losing streak.
I don't really look too much into it. You know what I mean? The result is the result. What can I take away is I'm looking for tendencies and technicalities in a fight. I don't give a fuck if it was a nut shot and that kind of stuff. I'm not looking at those kind of things, man. I'm focused on patterns and things that he has a tendency to do and things that I can capitalize on. Him as a person or what he's doing in the cage, his reaction to nut shots and shit, or what he thinks may have been a 4-fight, which it doesn't really matter. We're here today and we're gonna fight, so that's really it.
Randy over here to your left. Yeah, you mentioned this is like the gladiator business, and you're not here to make friends. I'm assuming he's probably going to be chattering at you in the cage too. Do you engage in that? Do you like that sort of back and forth while you're in there, or do you just have to kind of block it out?
I don't know. We'll see when we get in there. But I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, whether we're talking or we're not talking, we're fighting. You know what I mean? There's nothing that's going to stop me in a moment, or like, I'm resolved from the beginning, man. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to execute. And that's all I really care about. You know, I don't really care about what he has to say or what I'm going to say. We'll see what happens in a fight. That's it. You know.
What are you kind of expecting out of him? Because he's had kind of weird up and down performances throughout his career. Sometimes he's looked great. Sometimes his fights have been wild, and sometimes he's got hurt. Sometimes there's been weird things like Jose mentioned with the low blow. So I guess kind of what kind of fighter are you expecting to get in there against when you guys square off Saturday?
He's an opportunistic animal, and I'm going to be, try to give him as little opportunity as possible. You know what I mean? So that's really it. Anything he comes with, I'm prepared for. But what can I expect? You can't really go in thinking one thing with Kevin because you just don't know. You know, it could be grappling, it could be striking, it could be anything. So we'll just have to see.
Thanks.
Randy, right here. You guys are both in similar spot in the division, I would say. What do you think a win does for your stock after this?
I couldn't tell you. That's up to the company, you know what I mean? But it depends. I think I could tell you what a finish could do. I could tell you what, a big win will do. It'll definitely move me forward in a good way. And that's all I'm ever looking to do is move forward.
Were you at Marquez at all for this camp?
For this camp in the beginning, a little bit, I was up there with Joe, helping him get ready early on. And then we brought in Phil Rowe to New York. He was a guy that's similar to Kevin, very well-rounded dude. So I figured he was a really big help. So once he came down, we just kept him in New York for a little bit, and then last week, came up to Orlando to train with him. But speaking of Phil Rowe, that dude is actually pretty good, man. I don't think he fights to his ability all the time in the octagon, and I hope they keep him around. I think they should keep that guy around because he's a good dude, and he's been doing really good in the gym and stuff. So hopefully we see him back.
Well, along with Phil Rowe, you mentioned Pfeiffer, and that's why I brought up Marquez, big win over Izzy. What were your thoughts on that? I assume you played a little Izzy copycat in training camp.
Yeah, for a little bit. There's only one Izzy. There's only one Izzy. You know what I mean? He's a legend, and someone I've looked up to for a while. Just from kickboxing for a long time. So, yeah, I helped out as much as I could. You know what I mean? Those are my guys over there. A ton of respect for Izzy too. But yeah, tried my best to be, give him that look as much as I could.
And then do you go over there after a big win if all healthy to help Brady prepare for Buckley?
Buckley, bro, look at me. I'm not helping him fight Buckley. Buckley's like 5'9".
Fair enough. You did say with a finish, you expect a big bump. You know what happens there.
Yeah.
Any specific names of interest that you haven't fought yet?
No, I'm focused on Kevin at the moment.
So you talked about having Phil Rowe in your camp. Did you have him talk to you during the rounds to kind of prepare for that mid-fight banter that Kevin brings?
Yeah, we did. He did a good job. He played a good Kevin Holland.
So you celebrated your 10-year anniversary with the UFC earlier this year. Just what is it like to reach such a milestone that a lot of people don't get to reach in the UFC?
It just speaks to consistency. That's it, and not only consistency in the performances, but just consistency in the gym, consistency in a lifestyle, and I'm big on just speaking about resolve this and resolve that, but yeah, just being resolved and knowing that this is the life I chose, this is the path I chose, and I'm gonna give it 100% until the very end, and that's just it. That's what I can credit that to, my longevity. You know what I mean? Not only my skill set, but also just continuously working and showing up day in, day out, not just showing up with purpose and showing up with intention and trying to grow and be better version every day.
So you started the Randy Brown Foundation. You talked a little bit about it before your last fight. The idea of it was to help inner city youth start to train MMA, but you also donated a bit for the hurricane, was it, over in Jamaica?
Yep.
And UFC matched and everything.
Right.
What went into the idea of not just doing that, but also just starting it in general and wanting to give back to Jamaica?
It's not only Jamaica. We do stuff here, in the U.S. as well. Reason being starting in Jamaica is a lot of y'all don't know. A lot of people don't know. It's like the way I grew up. I grew up in Jamaica since I was a toddler, all the way up until I was about 16, 17 years old. I came to America. And, you know, the way I grew up, it wasn't ideal. You know what I mean? Everybody knows my father's been incarcerated for all my life. You know, my mother was deported, so that's why I had to go down there. And you know, the life that I lived, once you get deported, you don't have anything. So the life that I lived in, the places I lived in a place called Techfoot. There's a lot of captured land. And I just saw what it was like, my experience. And being here, doing what I'm doing today, I know I shouldn't be here based on my story. And I want to give other kids like me an opportunity. That's it, because that's all I ever wanted. And somebody believed in me and someone gave me an opportunity. And here I am today. So I'm just paying it forward. That's it, you know. So the Randy Brown Foundation is basically just that. It's MMA. I just opened a gym in Jamaica as well, and free for kids to train. Depends, you know, on their school, if they're doing good in school or where they come from. You know, they're able to train for free, you know, and learn mixed martial arts and just give them another path other than, you know, other than the other things that they're heavily influenced by.
Well, I'm happy you're here. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I have just a couple questions right here about the division. It seems there's a debate right now as to who should get the next title shot. And it's between Michael Morales and Ian Gary. What do you think?
Are you Ian McCall?
No,
No?
I am not.
Bro.
I do get that.
I'm lying though. It's not. No, you look just like Ian McCall, bro. Especially with the stash. For a second, I was trying to figure that out.
No, I'm not him. I'm not him.
My fault.
So I was asking you about the title picture. Who do you think should get the next shot?
If Brady wins, Brady should get it. Obviously, I'm biased, but Brady should get it.
Okay.
I mean, he's what he's done in the division, and you know where he's at. I think a big win right here. Guy's not sitting around. Guy's active. Fought someone behind him last time. I think Sean Brady should get it. With a big win over Buckley, he should get it.
Thank you.
All right. It's the stash, bro.
Yeah.